Hey guys, how you guys doing? I want to talk a little bit more about North Korea. Currently, right now, what we're seeing is a possible submarine missile launch by North Korea. Washington Times report came out stating that North Korea may be secretly building its first nuclear submarine to launch these missiles. So that's something we're going to have to pay attention to. Another thing I want to talk about, guys, is how we've been led into what will become this war. All right, I've talked about many times. All right, a new Gallup poll just came out stating that the majority of Americans would approve of a first strike on North Korea if diplomatic efforts fail. Now, let's dial it back a little bit. Talk about 6 months ago. Virtually no one in America would have approved of that. So, like we've talked about before, the mainstream media and government officials, different generals, have been slowly pushing this war. North Korea, we were told, was in the Stone Ages, and now we're learning that they have a viable nuclear program. They've got missiles that could, at the very least, hit U.S. bases in the Pacific, if not the continental United States. And now we're being told that, hey, within a couple months, they'll probably have a nuclear warhead that will be able to survive re-entry and crash on either a U.S. city or one of these bases. Now, either that's really bad intel, one, which I said was possibly part of it, but more to the point, it's the American population being led astray until the agenda of the mainstream media, of the deep state, was ready for this. Now what we're hearing is, like we talked about, Nikki Haley and General H.R. McMaster talking about how diplomatic efforts are running out of road. There's no road left. Time is up. Nikki Haley saying she's fine with kicking this over to General Mattis and the Pentagon to take care of it. Now we're having Secretary of State Rex Tillerson today coming out and stating that if these diplomatic efforts do fail, then the Pentagon will deal with North Korea. The U.S. is warning North Korea it will be destroyed if it continues its reckless behavior. And is North Korea going to stop? No, they're not. Is war something that the American people should advocate? Because right now they're playing on our fears. The fear that a nuclear-armed missile from North Korea could hit a city like Los Angeles, Seattle, San Francisco, Guam, Alaska. When all reality, this has been the road that they have laid out for us. North Korea has been a threat since the 90s. Now you have the bigger picture here, guys, is a war with North Korea would not just be a war with North Korea. Russia and China may back North Korea if the U.S. does strike them. Russia and China are the countries that strongly opposed a full oil embargo, and that's why these last UN sanctions that were passed were so lackluster and so weak. Yes, we cut 90% of the trade. Yes, we cut about 30% of their oil. But honestly, there's loopholes to get around that. China's been one of the biggest loopholes, and now Russia is becoming one of those loopholes. We know that North Korea is not going to stop their reckless behavior. They've shown no signs of stopping whatsoever. After these different sanctions that have been passed, which aren't the answer, North Korea responds with a level of provocation, whether that be a nuclear test or a missile test. Daily rhetoric, now on both sides. North Korea talking about turning the U.S. and her allies into ash and fire, putting us into darkness. For the first time ever, talking about EMP attacks against the United States of America, which is, that's the big thing. Forget a strike, a nuclear strike on a major U.S. city. An EMP strike on the whole nation would do 100 times more damage. Now, I do not advocate war. I feel like we've been pushed into this position. I think a full oil embargo is the next step if you are still going the diplomatic route. But I mean, that route seems to be fading faster and faster as the weeks go by. And now the US is openly talking about destroying North Korea. I'm all for shooting these missiles down. I'm all for a naval blockade to make sure that these sanctions are going through. If the international community stands with the United States and our allies and stand against the tyranny of North Korea, then a naval blockade should be no issue. The problem is it would be an issue. A naval blockade would most likely start a war. And basically what I'm trying to say, guys, is we've been led onto this road and the only destination is severed relations between the US, China, and Russia, and honestly a war between US and our allies, and North Korea, China, Iran. Throw Syria and Russia into that. It's getting pretty insane, to be honest. But this is where we're at. These world leaders have led us down this road. The deep state controlling them. Kim Jong-un, he's insane. He's unpredictable, but he's only trying to do what, he's being told because he wants to stay in power. He's a puppet. China could end this if they wanted to, but they don't want to. What they want, and what they've stated, China and Russia want this freeze for freeze option. And why do they want that? Well, it's because that they want the US military out of that region. If the US military is out of South Korea, out of Japan, their missile defense systems are gone, China basically rules all of Asia. And Russia benefits from that because of their close ties. Right now, guys, we're being led down this road. Every week it seems like more reckless behavior. And it seems like we're coming to the end of the road of the diplomatic efforts to end this crisis. And we'll be thrown into a military conflict. That of which the world hasn't seen since World War II. And the world will not be ready for it. But it's something that we need to remember. Who put us down this road? It's getting very scary. It's very scary times, guys. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world, but I definitely think that a new world war is closer now more than ever. And Kim Jong-un and North Korea's days are definitely numbered unless some miracle happens. Alright, guys, as more information comes out, I'll let you guys know. Say a prayer, say a couple prayers, because we need them. Grab a beer, enjoy it, and keep your eyes to the skies.